Hey everybody, this is Coach Andy Knapp, and I'm excited to have a successful Indiana business owner with us today. Joe Newman is the owner and founder of the American Basketball Association. Joe also ran a major advertising company here in Indianapolis for many years, and we are excited to hear a little bit about his journey in business. Let's start with introducing yourself and tell us a bit about your personal story, Joe.
Well, that's nice. I'm very flattered that you asked me to be on, Andy. That's really nice. I'm was born in Baltimore, Maryland, but actually am from New York. Came to Indianapolis after I got out of the Army in 1963 and went into television sales with Channel 8 here in Indianapolis. But I also did quite a few television programs while I was on Channel 4 and Channel 13 and Channel 8. People might remember The House Detective, might remember No Holds Barred, Dining Out with Connie and Joe. So I did that for several years, and then I opened up Joe Newman Advertising, and was fortunate enough to be the original advertising agency for Colonel Sanders and Kentucky Fried Chicken, but also handled a lot of local accounts that people in Indiana know: H. Gregg, Mr. Clark, Shane Company, and other local businesses. So that gave me my foundation for 20 years. And during that period, I was the ad agency for the original Indiana Pacers when they began, and also helped bring the Baltimore Colts to Indianapolis, and was the first ad agency for the Indianapolis Colts. So had a sports background, and in 1983 sold my ad agency, and from there I bought 16 radio stations and operated them in Florida and North and South Carolina and Indiana and Michigan, and did that for a few years, and didn't like the direction radio was going. And I happened to be at a McDonald's at 96th and Meridian Street, and met Dick Tinkham, one of the original founders of the original ABA and one of the original owners of the Indiana Pacers. And he asked me, would you like to bring the ABA back? And I said, yes, I think that would be interesting, but I want to do it in a totally different way. And in the year 2000, brought the ABA back. And that's where I am today.
That is that is amazing. What made you feel that you had the confidence that you could bring back the American Basketball Association?
Well, if you remember back in the year 2000, diversity was just beginning to happen, but it really had not happened in professional sports. And subsequently, if you were not a Michael Jordan or a Magic Johnson or a Jay-Z, to have ownership in a professional sports team was really beyond your reach. And I felt that since so many of the players were minorities, and that included Blacks, Hispanics, Asians, Native Americans, that there should be a path to ownership for minorities. And I said to Dick, I'll bring it back, but I am going to make it the most diversified professional sports league in history. And he said, how are you going to do it? And I said, well, the big stopper has always been money. It has always been the reason that minorities have not been allowed to have professional sports teams. So I took that big franchise fee off the table and made it easier to own and operate a professional sports team than any other league ever. And we have grown now from that original 7 teams in the year 2000 to when we begin play again in November, we will have over 160 teams, and over 80% of my teams are owned by Blacks, Hispanics, Asians, women, and Native Americans. And
Oh,
so
that's
I wanted to
wonderful.
have diversity. And of course, back in the advertising days of Joe Newman Advertising, I handled most of the minority business in Indianapolis and was fortunate to help bring WTLC on the air. But I also really helped bring minorities into advertising and television, and opened up because I was the ad agency for the Home Builders Association. Was able to open up housing and moved out of small areas that at that particular time had been diversified into being able to move into Greenwood, into Carmel, and to Hancock and Hendricks County, and so and was one of the original people that got involved with Indiana Black Expo. And so I was very fortunate to have that kind of diversity in my background in my advertising and broadcasting days, and to bring that kind of thing to the ABA.
That's absolutely a wonderful story and so interesting. Tell me a little bit about you, where you were born, where you live, your family, and your hobbies, if you don't mind.
Well, uh, as I say, my dad was a broadcaster in the 30s. He broadcast the Brooklyn Dodger game, and we were from New York. He happened to be going, and he did horse racing, and so he did the Preakness and Belmont Stakes in the old days of radio. And he was a boxing announcer during the days of Joe Louis and Kid Gavilan and Archie Moore and other famous early fighters. And he happened to be doing a boxing match in Baltimore, and my mother and he went down. She was pregnant at that time with me, and while he was doing the boxing match, she went into labor. I was born in Baltimore. We went back to New York. They were very much into civil rights in the very early days. They were up front, from Washington Heights in New York, and
Mhm.
so they created a culture in our family of equality and diversification and inclusion. And so my brothers and sisters, I happen to have several of them that passed away, but we had 9 children, 5 boys and 4 girls in our family. And uh, my brother Mike was with the Navy for 30 years. My brother Rich was in the Army. Brother Ted was in the Navy. My brother Dave was in the Army. My sister Pat was in the Navy. And of course, I was in the Army. And so went to Boston University. Uh, After Boston University, went to IBM, was a writer for IBM. I'm basically a writer, which is what I like to do. And um, went into the Army, came out, started doing television shows around the country, and led from there. So from an athletic standpoint, I was a 12-letter athlete in my high school, and had many major league offers to play baseball. I was well known in Indianapolis for softball with Joe Newman Advertising. We're a very strong team, and I played tennis and played rugby, karate, basketball, football, track, swimming, won a lot of awards in that, even though I don't have the size. Uh, I like that. And then I guess my number one hobby is reading. I probably am in the 1 percentile in reading books. I carry a book with me wherever I go 24 hours a day. And when I'm not working, doing what I do in the ABA, I read while I watch TV. I read while I exercise. I like to read. That's a thumbnail sketch of Joe Newman.
Hey,
Uh,
I love it. I absolutely love it. For everybody listening, check out the American Basketball Association and the link in the descriptions, and comment on LinkedIn that you watched the interview. Joe, uh, I know you've had a long and storied career. If there was one thing you could boil it down to, what would be your biggest learning as a business owner?
as a business owner, I have several mantras that I do, and I might mention to you, Andy, because a lot of people ask about it. I'm doing this now, and I'm 87 years old, And subsequently, if you keep in good shape and live a good life and treat people with dignity and respect, and that's the underpinning of the ABA is the character. And what doesn't differentiate us, but what is the foundation and the core of the ABA is that if you want to be involved with Joe Newman and anything that I do, you will treat people with dignity and respect. And when you don't, and your character strays from that, it's the fastest way to separate. And so I've lost teams through the years, not because the teams have folded or wanted to leave. It's because I don't want people abusing other people. So that's one thing, is treating people with dignity and respect. And the other one, I use an equation, which is S equals E plus DGU. S equals E plus DGU. And that is success equals effort plus don't give up. Effort plus don't give up. And so I say to young people and old people, don't worry about failure, worry about not trying. So don't worry about losing money, losing your time, losing effort, or failure. Just don't give up, and you will be able to achieve what you want to achieve. And when you don't achieve something, it's not because the idea is bad. It just needs honing, shaping, and people know me for the ability to find out not what benefits me, but what benefits you, and what is it that will make you and your life better. And if I can fulfill what will help you, then I'll be successful. So failure generally is because you have not done that, and the people with whom you're working don't feel that you're looking to benefit them. Rather, you're trying to benefit yourself. You benefit them, then you will benefit. So that's really what I brought to the advertising business. It's what I brought to the broadcasting business, and what I believe I brought to the ABA. I might mention to you, Andy, that we are about to launch. We've just launched the ABA TV channel, a new television channel, which
Right.
this program will be on, and we're going to put it on the ABA TV channel, and people
Right.
can see it on realabaleague.com. But we are launching the Black History Museum, which is the theme is "You Deserve a Place in History," and it's going to recognize every Black person that has ever lived, past, present, and future, because we believe not just Oprah Winfrey or Michael Jordan or Magic Johnson or Denzel Washington deserves a place in history. We believe everybody that contributes to society should be recognized and memorialized. We are breaking with that very shortly. And then right behind that, the Military First Responders Museum, because we believe that privates and corporals and ensigns and others, anybody that has served, deserves to be recognized and memorialized. And so that First Responder Military Hall of Fame will be launched soon also. So we have so much stuff going. And so getting back to your original question is when you stop coming up with new ideas and stop innovating,
Yes.
that's the time to stop. Until then, just keep coming up with new ideas, creativity, and don't worry about failure. Worry about being in limbo and static. And that,
Yes.
people say, Joe, that's never what you are, and that's never what I am.
I love it. It's you have a life filled with just keeping swimming and coming up with bigger and better things along the way, and that is absolutely a great message uh, for everybody. Uh, as far as the ABA goes, you mentioned you had 165 teams. What do you contribute? What do you attribute the growth of that league to?
I contributed to the business model that I've created, Andy. It's interesting. Everybody that gets involved loves basketball, knows basketball, and can put a good team on the court, but they don't necessarily know how to make money doing what they love. And so
True.
I focused on a business model, and that is fan base, revenue, sponsorships, press media support, community support, social media, etc., and give them a business plan unlike anything else. Now, that's not necessary at the NBA or NFL or in the National Hockey League or MLB level, but at our level, so many teams struggle because they do not know how to get fans in the stands or sponsorships. We've just launched a national sponsorship program in which we put together a national sales staff to sell local sponsorships. And I always believe that if the teams are economically sound, then we will have a good league. And so while other leagues come and go or limit themselves to 10 or 15 or 20 teams, we keep growing because of this impeccable business model. It is really terrific. And I do it ongoing every day. I do Tuesdays and Thursdays in the off season, a marketing information memo. And it's a big, long memo on how to operate a team. And then during the season, Monday, Wednesdays, and Fridays. And they constantly push. I am so mild-mannered, gentle, sweet person, but I am relentless in driving people every day into making every day count, and don't waste your time, and achieve something, and make sure that the results are measurable and accountable. And so when you have that kind of mentality, that's what's grown us. I over the weekend we added 2 additional teams, and probably this morning I'm adding 2 new teams this morning, one in Clearwater, Florida, and the other one in just north of Tampa, and because of the business model, basically.
I absolutely love it. And that it as far as the next 1 to 3 years, what do you think your number one development area or challenge is going to be in achieving and even growing further the ABA?
Well, here's the thing, because I can make it all sound so nice and so good, Andy. I have not had television, and the backbone of every professional sports league has been television. And we've been able to build this into the league it is without TV. We don't have ESPN or Fox Sports or TMT or TLC or ABC or NBC. And subsequently, you see those networks carrying field hockey and women's basketball and
Yeah.
high school. But everybody has television. We don't. We built this league. Well, now with the streaming taking a greater percentage of the viewership and greater percentage of the dollars, and our ability to get into streaming, we think the future is very bright, because we're now with our own ABA TV channel, available on Roku, available on Fire Stick, and available on several others. So if you said to me, Joe, what do you want to accomplish? I want to have the television coverage, because, Andy, I will tell you, the most exciting basketball that's being played in the world today is the ABA. We play with a combination of the NCAA, the NBA, international rules, and our own rules. So we are higher scoring, faster paced, full court basketball. And anybody that has seen an ABA game realizes it's so much fun because of the rules that we put in and the way the game is played. And so, but we've not economically achieved what we could compared to what a Caitlin Clark has brought to the WNBA. They floundered for years, and now the WNBA is doing tremendously because they got that one spark. And I'm hopefully that a spark will hit us, and we'll have the same kind of visibility that other leagues. And I think we certainly deserve it, because we have the history of the original ABA of Dr. J and George Gervin
Yes.
going forward with us. but we have not gotten the visibility we deserve, and that's what I'm looking for in the future.
Understood. What advice do you have for new business owners?
For new business owners, I think you need to have a game plan, and you need to have this sense of measurability and accountability that utilize your time right, and whatever it is you do, see if you can get results for it, and don't defend the indefensible. I'll cite an example. If you were running a McDonald's and you have quarter pounders and Big Macs and French fries, and you were to put a rabbit burger into there and nobody bought the rabbit burger, be willing to accept the mistake and take the rabbit burger off the menu. And the same thing holds with businesses. Be able to look at your business every day, have an objective every day, and say, have I achieved the objective that I've set out to do today? And subsequently, I prepare a things to do list every day, and I make sure that I have those things, and I work against that things to do list. So I would say to every new entrepreneur, you have 365 days a year, create a things to do list, but create that things to do list of things that you can do. Because if you end up at the end of the day not doing some of those things, you have failed. And if you have too many consecutive days of failure, you will then lose the energy that you might have. So create a list of things you can do that you do achieve. So at the end of the day, at 5 or 6 o'clock at night, you can say, I am a success. And you go into the following day successful rather than as a failure. And it's in the head, but that's what I do. And that's sort of what I preach, and why people understand what it is, the message I'm trying to put across.
I love that message, and it's so very, very true. Um, uh, Joe, it was such a pleasure speaking with you today. Thank you for being on the show. I feel like we should do another interview where it's a longer form, because I'd love an opportunity to dive deep into your uh, building Joseph Newman advertising back in that pivotal period in Indianapolis, and things of that nature. And just, you've got such a storied career, very important to the city of Indianapolis, and as it turns out with the ABA, something that's unique and very important to all the states, opening up ownership and giving access to people all across the United States. And that's really a neat thing. And I'm so glad and honored to have you on the show with me today.
Well, vice versa, Andy. I'm very flattered and very appreciative of the kind words, and just anytime, I'm always available.
Very good, everybody. Please look on the Indiana Business. Well, if you're already on here, you're already looking at the Indiana Business Spotlight, and we'll put in the copy, the other places, the American Basketball Association, the ABA, how to access them. And what was the website again? Real ABA TV?
Real ABA League TV.
Real ABA League TV. And I'll make sure I get that.
RealABALeague.com. ABALeague.com.
Realabaleague.com, and I'll make sure it goes in. I'll make sure it goes on to the information as such.
Thank you, Andy. I appreciate the interview, and look forward to seeing you again.
Thanks so much, Joe.